welcome to Dear Greg. Send in your questions, #Dear Greg. It's one of our favorite segments. I think we're on number 8 or 9. Anyways, we got 2 questions today. The first one's from Anthony Sansone. When washing your hands, do you go water then soap or soap then water?
Oh, there's no question. You have to start with water. You got to lubricate the soap.
Does it have to be warm water, or you can go either way?
I can go either way. Ideally, you want it tepid to warm.
Now, the second question comes from my phone. I was scrolling through it. That's why I was distracted at the beginning, and I don't even remember who it comes from. What other names were you considering for me other than Christopher?
Ooh. Wow, that's a good question. I would defer to your mother on that because I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, let alone what happened 30 years ago.
So if you had a kid, what about if you had another kid today, which would be weird?
Right.
What would you name him?
Probably Poindexter.
What if Chris was a girl?
Yeah.
What would you have named? Christina, maybe?
My wife liked the name Nicole at the time. I do remember that. How about that?
Cody.
What would your name have been if you were a girl?
Betty? I don't know.
Ooh.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Stugotz, Waddle swaggered in here, Mike Ryan, and somehow he had one hand inside his belt and 3 hands with 15 sausage fingers pointing at me saying, Dan, that one last night had it all.
It really did. As for the belt, I lost my regular belt, so I'm wearing a new belt, and that's always uncomfortable, first day in a new belt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Greg?
Got to break in a belt.
Right, but that game did have it all, Dan. It had everything for sports radio. Questionable timeouts, fan reaction to an injury, the future of the league. Did they bring him back too soon? Who's to blame? Was Bob Myers really crying? A team choking? The heart of a champion? I mean, J.J. Watt chimed in. You got everything. Yeah, everything. I mean, it was one of the greatest games in the history of the NBA for sports radio.
It was. It had a lot to chew on there. I think if Toronto doesn't win that series, that last possession is going to haunt Kyle Lowry a little bit. You had the chance to get Canada. There aren't many opportunities you're going to get to win a series on a shot when you're Kyle Lowry and you're playing with Kawhi Leonard. And he hit the side of the backboard, and then everyone's looked. I mean, Draymond Green, it's too bad that he's going to be suspended for Game 7 because he's going to get that technical in the next game.
You already predicted.
It's a real shame.
It is. It's a real shame. And I'm telling you, we are headed toward Game 7. The Golden State Warriors, lovable against all odds underdog. Like, how?
They'll still have like 20 All-Star games on the floor, though.
They still have a 2-time MVP.
But still, am I wrong? I mean, you see Looney leave. Look, Toronto's remarkably healthy under the circumstances. It's all the Warriors who are limping to the locker room. So we're going to talk about Kevin Durant and that decision. And good God, the Daily News of New York is had the headline, Knicks lose Game 5 because Kevin Durant is a part of all of those teams, the Nets, the Clippers, everybody is trying to get in a position to land him. And now he's going to sit out a year. He might opt back into the contract and try his chances in a year, but it's rare, if not unprecedented. I can't think of a guy who comes back from that injury in that sport and is the same, never mind better. And he's going to be coming back at what age? 32?
32, yeah. 7-footer. Wow.
Yeah, I know that there's a theory out there that he could simply opt in and take a 1-year deal, but he'd be getting really bad advice and not lock up some sort of long-term supermax, considering the injury he just sustained last night. That'll be confirmed by an MRI later today.
Do you think there's a team that would do that? Do you think the Knicks would do that? I mean,
there are a lot of teams. Evidently, Bobby Marks just said on Get Up that there are 3 teams that would give him the supermax on July 1st. And those are just the 3 teams he talked to. But beyond that, never mind the transaction. We'll have all summer to talk about that. What Golden State did last night is they withstood Kawhi Leonard's best punch. He ended him. And then they just rose from the grave. And for all of you questioning Nick Nurse, and I understand why you do it because you're playing the result, and Toronto couldn't get a good shot. Look at the play-by-play on the last 3 minutes of that game. You will not see points or good shots anywhere from Toronto, and it's because Kawhi was gassed. They called those timeouts. He called 2 timeouts. They're up 6 with the ball. Canada's going crazy. And I know you're all questioning it, but I'm telling you, that dude knows his team. That dude got that team here, and Kawhi Leonard was spent, and you can see it in the box score because Toronto did nothing in terms of getting good shots, never mind making them.
Right.
Did nothing in terms of getting good shots the last 3 minutes. In fact, out of that timeout, still exhausted, Kawhi Leonard had like a turnaround 18-footer that was short.
He actually was pretty bad last night for the standard that he set, and then he just dipped into some greatness late in that fourth quarter, and I think he got tapped out.
He hasn't had to guard Kevin Durant all series. Like, even if he only had to guard him for a half, he's playing an enormous number of minutes. He seems a little bit injured, and he had a tougher defensive assignment last night than he ever has when he's guarding against that team, because it's usually Iguodala or Draymond.
They also defended him really well, Dan, especially that last possession, but this was a guy that had 35 points and 0 turnovers in the previous game in Golden State, and in the first quarter, he had like 4.
He played 41 minutes. He was 0 of 5 from 3 before he hit the 2 big threes in the fourth quarter. Went on a 10-0 run by himself, essentially.
But it spent him. It did. Stugotz.
I know, but Dan, even the Warriors are saying it helped us. We needed a blow, and he gave it to us.
I understand, but I'm telling you, the Nick Nurse called 2 consecutive full timeouts because he was trying to get his star player. Kawhi doesn't show emotion. Kawhi was hands on knees. Kawhi was sucking air, and his play showed it. His shot at the end wasn't there. And then when they doubled him at the end with 7 seconds left, he's just like, get this out of here. Somebody else do this.
But I thought Tim Legler did a very good job of pointing this out after the game. The Warriors were showing that their legs weren't right either. And sometimes you just got to take your chances with that. Like Steph Curry kept going further and further away from the basket, and he was hitting front rim on every single shot, which suggests that he was tired. And then out of that timeout, all of a sudden, Steph and Clay are hitting everything.
Yeah, I don't think Kawhi was like, get this out of here, I'm tired. I think Kawhi was like, the right play here is to get this out of here because they have defended this so freaking well. If anything, he probably regrets not passing to Danny Green instead of swinging it to Van Vliet, who's then swung it to Kyle Lowry, who at the side of the backboard, it was tipped.
I think it's harsh to say that Toronto blew that game or that they choked. What I saw was Steph Curry and Klay Thompson rising up and dusting off a dynasty and just being super impressive on the biggest stage at the biggest possible time. I was so impressed that after Kawhi did what he did, that Golden State came back and took.
That's the best punch Canada's got. That's the best punch Kawhi Leonard's got. They withstood it. They're down 6 with 2.5 minutes left, and they're the only team in the history of the sport that has a chance losing a player of Durant's caliber. That can still win finals games when they lose a player of that caliber.
I understand your point, and it's a good one about Nick Nurse understanding that team better than we do. Watching at home, though, it looked like Kawhi was struggling with his shot. It definitively, quantifiably, he was struggling that entire game.
What was it, 9 for 26?
It was the worst Kawhi Leonard we have seen this series, I think we can say, especially when you account for all the turnovers.
9 of 24, Mike.
And then he started cooking. So if you're watching at home, it's like, why are you slowing down this momentum? Kawhi's finally got it going.
Oh, Mike, it felt to me, look, you guys, I understand. You could question anything off of that game when somebody loses, and the result is in your favor. They had all of the momentum, and then they lost all the momentum. I thought his team was tired, and it would stand to reason that Kawhi Leonard summoning those minutes you saw where he scored whatever it was, 8 or 10 straight points, and he keeps going at them, and he's using all his strength at the end of the game. It stands to reason that he was trying to get his best player some rest.
I thought it was an absolutely strategic timeout that was instantly understandable, and it wasn't just Kawhi Leonard who was gassed. I mean, the Raptors at that point as a team were hands on hip, sagging.
I hate, though, that we do this. Like, honestly, I really hate that of all the great things in that game, okay, of all the great things, we're going to question a coach's decision with, 3 minutes left in the game?
Yep.
3 minutes left in the game?
3:05.
I mean, please look at the play-by-play and look at all the shots Toronto got the last 3 minutes. I'm telling you, just go look at it. They're all bad shots.
Well, out of the timeout, it was a missed 11-foot jumper by Kawhi. Then Lowry had the three-pointer. Danny Green missed a three-pointer. So you're right. I mean, they weren't great shots. Kawhi missed a three-pointer as well, so they weren't getting great shots.
But if Lowry makes that last shot, all of a sudden it's, wow, Nick Nurse took a daring, smart timeout there.
But in defending Nick Nurse and saying he realizes his team was tired and he was taking timeouts with 3 minutes and 5 seconds left, why isn't he taking a timeout with 15 seconds left?
Fair enough. I just didn't want to make that game about timeouts.
We just made the first segment about it.
Okay, great. But there's plenty more to chew on here, including Stugotz probably accusing Bob Myers of crocodile tears.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Quote, buy and save on home insurance with Progressive's new Home Quote Explorer, only at Progressive.com. Here's your SportsCenter update. NBA Finals Game 5. Warriors defeated the Raptors 106-105. Kevin Durant was cheered off the court by Raptor fans with an Achilles injury. Not exactly. David Ortiz has arrived in Boston on a plane sent by the Red Sox to Massachusetts General Hospital, where he will continue to receive medical attention following being shot in a possible assassination attempt in the Dominican Republic. No time to wax your car. Introducing new 303 touchless sealant. It's a quicker, easier alternative to traditional vehicle waxing. Simply spray on, rinse off, offering twice the protection and shine of traditional wax. Available at O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit 303automotive.com today. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
It is done and Stu.
He starts. It retains nothing from the beginning of the sentence.
I'm on every side of this argument, Dan.
So Toronto gets delayed, having the best basketball moment it's ever had. That was the craziest Canada any of us have ever seen. And if we told Canada at the end, look, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a shot to win the game. Do you want Kyle Lowry taking it? What is the answer to that? Like, what? Look, you're going to have a shot at the end. It's one shot to end the game. Which way does Canada vote on that one? If it's left to a vote,
I think they vote. I would rather have Kawhi Leonard exhausted with two men draped on him taking that shot over Kyle Lowry.
I mean, he did that. That's how he ended the Sixers, right?
Yeah, yes, I want that shot instead of the Lowry shot. Yes. It was great analysis. I was up all night watching this because the game was so great. But Legler does such a great job. No, I'm serious.
No, but I mean, most people stayed with the game. You don't get a Medal of Freedom for staying up all night as a sports broadcast.
I feel like I deserve one. I mean, we're handing those things out like chiclets. Seriously. So listen here. What DeMarcus Cousins, Draymond Green did, and Legs pointed it out perfectly, is Cousins had sealed Draymond Green, and Draymond Green would not have been able to get to Kyle Lowry shooting him, but Draymond Green realized the play, realized where the ball was going, and just kind of shuffled out of that and stepped in front of DeMarcus Cousins, and because he did that, and because he's so smart and did it purposely, as Legs pointed out, he was able to get to the shooting hand of Kyle Lowry.
It's really just too bad that Draymond Green is going to be suspended for Game 7 when he picks up another technical in Game 6. It's a real shame.
DeMarcus Cousins wasn't on the court for that possession. I'm a little confused.
Whoever was guarding Draymond Green in that spot, whoever was taking him.
Guarding?
Or whoever was, matched up with Draymond Green.
Are you sure you stayed up and watched the game?
I am telling you that Legler did a fantastic job of explaining how that happened and how Draymond Green was able to get out on Kyle Lowry's shooting.
He did a great job of getting away from Marc Gasol, not his teammate DeMarcus Cousins.
That's who it was, Marc Gasol. Thank you, Mike. Late night, man. What can I tell you? It was up to the wee hours.
I love that he came in
breaking it down
with prep. Yeah. I'm ready to talk about anything. I'm not going to get anything right, and also I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize.
I think I got it all right. For me,
you had Draymond Green getting around a screen from Boogie Cousins. How's that you getting it right?
How did I mistake Boogie Cousins for Marc Gasol?
You were trying to. That is startling enough on its own. But if you'll notice, it's very rare that it doesn't happen that often around here where Stugotz feels legitimate shame.
Has it ever?
No, it did just a second ago, because what happens is when he feels shame, and he felt shame on I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize, he presses the gas on his thoughts, and like his face goes backwards, and the speed and gravity of things goes too fast, and next thing you know, Boogie Cousins looks like Marc Gasol.
You know my tells.
And I don't know why he felt so bad about it, because Stugotz is 99% down with his character being a buffoon, but sometimes he wants to make a serious point, and that's how it comes out.
Poorly.
Hey, Stugotz wants a new boat. Time for some more ads.
Press the gas so fast that it's just yammer, facts. Let me drive away as fast as I can from I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize.
Late night.
Mike, what does the list look like for Stugotz on greatest sentences he's ever uttered? Because Trust Me, Don't Trust Me is up there, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize. We have to have a decent.
That's a great one. That's a T-shirt slogan. I mean, that's instantly famous, that slogan.
If only we can make T-shirts. The Black Tux, you have a special event this weekend. Let the Black Tux dress you up properly. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, wedding season is upon us. You're going to be doing it big and going out to all your buddies' weddings. That's where the blacktux.com comes in. The Black Tux is your one-stop shop for modern fitting suits and tuxedos at half the price of what even the budget rental companies cost. They even offer free home try-on. Stand out at your next event for the right reasons with the Black Tux. To get $20 off your purchase, visit theblacktux.com, enter code Dan. That's theblacktux.com, code Dan for $20 off your purchase. The Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered.
Dale, you're listening.
Juju Gotti is a rapper who has got a tattoo of Greg Cote on his calf, a giant tattoo. And he made a song with Greg Cote that sounded like this.
You never know.
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 You never know. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. You never know.
People want to buy that. How did you feel the first time that you heard it?
I was.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by new Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline, now with 4 levels of defense against grunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Bob Ryan will be there at 11, Bill Simmons at 11:30. Here's your SportsCenter update. NBA Finals Game 5. Warriors defeated the Raptors 106-105. Steph Curry 31.
All the issues from last night's game. Which do you guys believe to be the most interesting? You've got them all. You've got a timeout. You've got a general manager crying because he has to at least feel partially responsible. By playing. Evidently, that's coming from Rachel Nichols, that doctors told Kevin Durant at a cost of, almost $200 million, or at the risk of $200 million. Here's what Rachel Nichols is reporting.
I walked out of the building with Steve Kerr and Scott. I mean, he just kept saying to me, he's like, the doctors told us that he couldn't get more hurt by coming back, that he had cleared that hurdle. And he just kind of kept saying that over and over again. And I think that's the pain you see on someone like his face, Bob Myers' face. They feel responsible for this situation, even though, of course, no human's responsible for an injury happening to someone else. They do feel like, but we thought this, and that's why we made that decision, and then this other thing happened, and you can see it's going to be a very long flight home for them.
They said the same thing about Looney.
You realize that they're incentivized, doctors, team, everybody, to get the guy back on the court, especially if it's the last couple of games he's playing for.
And he clears that hurdle at 3-1, down 3-1. Would he have cleared that hurdle if they were up 3-1?
Doc, is there any chance I can get more hurt? Nope. You're good.
So I want to get into that, but I also want to get into Stugotz, because Stugotz is saying, I feel like everyone, Stephen A. Smith, Kevin Durant's mother, Tim Legler, Everyone is talking to me, Boogie Cousins, when they say anyone who questions Kevin Durant's heart. Here's Boogie Cousins talking directly to Stugotz.
What do you think about the people who question Katie's heart and how long it was taking him to return?
Some of the fans cheering when he went down.
Trashy. So trashy. But like I said, we only idolize is superstar athletes, not human beings. It's always about what we can do between those lines. That's it. That's all that ever matters. And then once we lash out and, do human-type things, then we consider bad guys.
I mean, I've never questioned his heart. I've never questioned his greatness, and it's not going to change. Nothing that happened last night is going to change my opinion of what Kevin Durant did 3 years ago, which was leave the Oklahoma City Thunder and take an easier path to play with the Golden State Warriors.
When you question his heart by doing that.
No, I question his decision-making. That's what I question. His decision-making
of his heart.
Well, no, his decision-making. Listen, the validation that he thought he was going to receive, he hasn't received because a lot of people agree with me, and then that was a poor decision. It was also a poor decision for Kevin Durant to play last night. So I can sit here and question.
You're the worst. You are the worst.
I can question it. Dan, I can question.
You're the worst.
Dan, I can question his decision-making without questioning his heart and his greatness, okay? I know how great of a player Kevin Durant is. He's one of the 5 greatest players I've ever seen play the game of basketball. He's got no rings. That's unfortunate for a guy that talented, but I can question his decision-making, and those were 2 lousy decisions, to come to Golden State and then to play for that team last night, especially after Draymond Green was talking all this smack about him at the beginning of the season. He came back for Draymond Green? What are you doing?
Why weren't you saying that yesterday? Why weren't you saying any of that yesterday?
Oh, yesterday he had to come back. He also wasn't injured yesterday.
It did seem like a pretty good decision for him to come back after the first quarter when he had 11 points on 3 for 3 shooting from threes. But, you can't second guess whether he came back or not, I don't think. I mean, nobody could predict an Achilles heel, right? He'd never had an issue with his Achilles.
Well, the doctors are more qualified than us.
Right, and they gave him the green light.
But the doctors are also incentivized more than us. They're incentivized more than us to get him back out there.
But when you asked the most interesting thing, it felt like afterwards it was an organization that felt some level of guilt that they allowed Kevin Durant to go out there and play.
It's not just an organization. I felt this guilt throughout the media and throughout fandom in this respect. I've told you that when we eulogize someone, we forget how mean we were to them and then just dress it up at the end when we can't do them any good or make them feel.
Yes.
At the very end, listen to how the conversation has changed around Kevin Durant. He's gotten more from being injured than he ever got from playing because of the number of people who are now pitying him, and the defense of his heart is more vigorous than it's ever been because he was willing to go out there and risk $200 million and his future NBA career. Congratulations, Kevin. You finally got the acceptance from fans and media and doctors and Canada and everybody. You finally got the acceptance. All it cost you was, the ability to play well in the future.
Yeah, but the whole heart issue arose from his own team, according to reports, after Game 4, pretty much starting to say, hey, why couldn't he play? Why didn't he play? Come on, KD.
And that's what I wonder. I wonder because the players, it's a weird moment, right? You're excited that you won, but you're heartbroken for the player, right? And your teammate and your brother and all that. But it did feel like some players felt some guilt because there was that report of them pressuring and questioning why Kevin Durant would not come back.
Because everyone else was playing hurt.
Precisely. The report from The Athletic was that irritation grew following the Game 4 loss. That Durant wasn't out there because Kevon Looney was out there, DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Iguodala. All these other players were battling through their injuries, and they were all irritated that Kevin Durant wasn't out there with them.
We can guess.
Greg Cote with Back in My Day.
Commerce. The way we do it, the way we transact for goods and services, not only has changed us, it has changed the look of neighborhoods, the way of life. The thought occurred to me the other day as my erstwhile quiet cul-de-sac filled with a parade of FedEx, Amazon Prime, and UPS delivery trucks Uber drivers, fast food delivery cars, and other folks employed and deployed for the express purpose of allowing our lazy asses to never leave the house in our cars as we binge watch Netflix. I can't even back out of my driveway for the conga line of delivery trucks vomiting drivers who, lemming-like, walk to front doors, drop brown cardboard boxes on front steps, and take a smartphone photo of the box sitting there so they're off the hook when a thief swings by 10 minutes later and swipes your package in broad daylight. All of it captured by your Blink camera. Why do we even have to leave our houses at all? What isn't delivered? The only thing I can think of is gasoline. Come on, get on it, Chevron and Shell. I need to be even lazier. Bring the pump to me. That way I save gas, you see? Neighbors used to know each other's names, kibitz over the chain link fence, borrow a hoe or a cup of sugar. Now neighbors remain hermetically sealed in their home tombs, waiting for packages, strangers to each other. Meanwhile, the Sears store is shuttered and the Barnes & Noble store is withering on the vine, and the entire shell of the American retail industry, the store, sags because we're spoiled and need everything brought to us. Folks, be the one house on your block that is a delivery-free zone, and proudly fly a yard sign that bugles the fact. Be the one car that drives to the dying mall and parks in the big sad lot strewn with cartwheeling tumbleweeds. Walk into the lonesome Sears store and shout, "I'm doing commerce the old school way." Shout it proud and so loud you wake the dozing clerks. I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was back in my day.
Break out the red panties. We are rich, baby.
Borrow a hoe.
That's right.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Have you ever borrowed a hoe from a neighbor? And also put on the poll, has a neighbor ever borrowed a hoe from you? TISO, people, Father's Day is Sunday, 5 days away. We're telling you the easy way to do this. Support a sponsor who supports us and get Dad a cool gift. Tell him, Stugotz.
Yep, this Father's Day, gift Dad at TISO. TISO is the official watch of the NBA, and the TISO NBA collection offers different timepieces in all 30 teams. Plus, the newest edition, the TISO Chrono XL NBA Collector, is made with official Spalding game ball leather. Every TISO timepiece delivers quality performance and traditional luxury at an unbeatable price. Shop the TISO collection at us.tisoshop.com and at select watch and jewelry stores nationwide.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Bob Ryan going to join us in about 15 minutes on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Bill Simmons at 11:30. Get in touch with us anytime to the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Le Batard Show, at Stugotz790, at Greg Cote. You know it never goes out of style, surprising a friend or loved one with a dazzling bouquet or arrangement from 1-800-Flowers.com, starting at just $29.99. To order today, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN.
So Greg Cote, during the break, was trying or beginning to explain to me that he recently learned that there are two kinds of hose. I'm a little scared going down this path with him, but we will in a moment after the group decides to measure the sincerity of Bob Myers' tears. Now, this is usually a Stugotz exclusive category, to take a look at someone crying and saying they're milking it, they're faking it, that's not real emotion. But Bob Myers, there aren't a lot that developed into the worst case scenario.
Yeah, he came out on the defense. I understand that he had to explain it and, hey, put the blame on me, but it was an odd way to come out, because if Kevin Durant wanted to play, he truly wanted to play, went to management and said, I wanted to play. You don't have to come out and be defensive during the press conference.
But Stugotz,
just say Kevin wanted to play.
Stugotz, we're in blame culture now. Blame is sports content. 24-hour networks, blaming. you could put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Batard Show. Would you watch a channel dedicated just to blame? Because you already are. It's ESPN. But it would just to blame related things. And so he's trying to fire a countermeasure in an emotional way. And I'm honestly surprised by how icy you guys are that you won't allow the human emotion of this to penetrate you.
Kevin had it's an Achilles injury. I don't know the extent of it. He'll have an MRI tomorrow. Prior to coming back, he went through 4 weeks with our medical team, and it was thorough, and it was experts and multiple MRIs and multiple doctors, and we felt good about the process. He was cleared to play tonight. That was a collaborative decision. I don't believe there's anybody to blame, but I understand this world, and if you have to, you can blame me. I run our basketball operations department.
Man, if he's a trained thespian, that's a great performance. If he's not, that's raw emotion. I can't be cynical about what I just heard.
Couple of great sniffles there, huh?
Mike Ryan has been the most vocal, surprisingly. Usually this is Stugotz's wheelhouse. Stugotz's character is always questioning the sincerity of the character of others.
Yeah, he added the sniffles. It's
Absolutely.
really not that great of a performance, quite honestly.
You have to throw those in. It's part of the act. I mean, it really is.
Well, he really poured it on in this next clip then.
Let me tell you something about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant loves to play basketball, and the people that questioned whether he wanted to get back to this team were wrong. And I'm not here to... He's one of the most misunderstood people. He's a good teammate. He's a good person. It's not fair. I'm lucky to know him. I don't know, I don't have all the information on what really the extent of what it all means until we get an MRI. But the people that worked with him and cleared him are good people. They're good people.
Sounds like Terrell Owens. This is my quarterback.
You guys are mean.
I believe T.O.
Yeah, so did I. Some of the people who questioned him, according to reports, were within that organization, were some of Kevin Durant's teammates. I mean, it just felt like a lot of people feeling really, really guilty and then wanted to show you. Listen, Dan, it is tough. It really is. Because a lot of people who were questioning him, were there many media members questioning whether or not Kevin Durant actually wanted to be there and come back from his team? No, the reports were that the players and the organization were questioning that. Something's fishy here, man.
Well, we haven't heard from Kevin Durant yet post-injury. And to me, what he says is all that matters in terms of the magnitude of this blame story. Because if Kevin Durant says, this is on me, I would not have played if I didn't want to play and think I was ready to play, that's a lot different than even hinting or implying that he was rushed back.
We've heard from him some and his mother. We've heard from him.
I've seen moms
on Instagram. But Michael gets you what it is that he wrote in a second. But Stugotz, what's fishy? There's nothing fishy here. Like, what are you looking at in here and seeing fishy on? There's going to be pressure to return under these circumstances. All of the parties involved, general manager, players, doctors, everyone's incentivized to pressurize Kevin Durant to play.
I understand that, but the guy that had the most to lose last night was not Myers, was not those players. It was Kevin Durant. And if you truly care about Kevin Durant, maybe you suggest to him, hey, and no internal pressure. No, I'm serious, okay. Dan.
The quote from Easy Money Sniper on Instagram. This is his real account, not to be confused with his dozens of fake ones. Dub Nation, going to be loud as bleep for Game 6. I'm hurting deep in the soul right now. I can't lie, but seeing my brothers get this win was like taking a shot of tequila. I got a new life, LOL. # dubs.
That tequila will wear off, so will the pain medication, and then he will be left with the sad reality of a career that feels in jeopardy, even as Dominique Wilkins is somebody who has returned from that injury. But I've been negligent in not taking up Greg Cote on the important topic of the day, which is multiple hose. He has discovered that there are multiple kinds of hose.
Right. I mean, a lot of farmers out there listening.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN.
Join us in a moment. That Kellen Winslow story is so creepy and awful that no one is equipped to talk about it publicly. Like, you don't see anything on television other than he might go away for life, and it's just baffling. Before we get to Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe, though, Greg Cote, again, was clipped by the Hard Network out. He was mad. He was upset about it because he said,
publicly with and known to do good charity work, and he's always an affable presence. And I would say that in a city where there are an awful lot of candidates to be on that so-called Rushmore, the Great Four, he is a candidate. That's certainly a big statement in Boston. People totally beloved in the city, and I wasn't at Fenway. I didn't, of course, I was at home watching basketball, but the Red Sox started 2 hours before the basketball game, and when I flipped in, I had missed it, but there was a moment of silence, I guess, and I guess it was the great. One radio personality in Boston said that he had never heard better or more deeper silence, if you will. It just was nothing stirring, no murmurs, no nothing. People are taking it hard. This is a city in shock. Absolutely.
I've maintained for a while, Bob, that the Golden State Warriors have a larger margin for error when healthy than any team in the history of the sport. And I ask you, as a basketball historian, has there ever been a team that can lose the caliber of player that Kevin Durant is and still be legitimately considered a team that can win the championship?
I off the top of my head, I say no. In fact, I automatically start thinking as you're speaking about the circumstances where it did cost championships. And you can go way back. You can go to Bill Russell in '58 when he was hurt in the series against St. Louis and was incapacitated to a degree, and the St. Louis Hawks beat them. You can go to McHale playing with essentially a broken stress fracture foot in '87, giving the Celtics really no chance to beat the Lakers. You can go to the Lakers in '89 when both Magic and Scott were hurt, and they would have been able to put up a much better fight against the Pistons and maybe beaten them. And you can go on and on. I'm updated, I'm sure. But no team could absorb, thanks to that great backcourt. And, of course, Green, when he plays the way he can and should play, he's a very, very, very effective player. And it's the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. There's certainly no doubt about that. And I would have to say that's the case, yes.
Game 7 Stanley Cup Final tomorrow night in Boston. We will ignore it and have Bob Ryan explain his tweets.
Well, here's the
You have some explaining
We're ignoring
to
you,
do. Time to explain your tweet.
He is my favorite follow on Twitter. It's @GlobeBobRyan. You're about to find out why. Nothing like some good Beatles versus Beach Boys talk. Reminds me of a visit to Miami in '64, and the station had a Beatles versus Elvis raging controversy.
Yeah, well, I kicked off a little bit of a Twitter thing in my following with I'm trying to remember. Oh, something. I don't know. Somebody was overpraising the Beach Boys. That's what it was. I wanted to set the record straight. The Beach Boys are wonderful. They're a very nice American group, but they're not the Beatles, and historically or otherwise. So let's stop it. And then it got in. All right, so that's where it kicked it off. And it is true. In 1964, I was in Miami on a Florida vacation with my family. And I bet it was WQAM, Dan. I think that's what people told me it was. Yes. I think the guy's name was Rick somebody.
Rick Shaw. Rick Shaw.
Yes, Rick Shaw.
Nice. Roy said that. Roy predicted that it was Rick Shaw in 1964. Yeah. I didn't know there was anyone old enough on Twitter to care about this discussion, Bob.
Tiger Beat Radio.
Well, I was just pointing out that I remember, this is 64 when the Beatles are bursting upon the American scene. And in March of 1964, Rick Shaw and the QAM had a big, contest, to call in and, Beatles versus Elvis. So that's all. And we're in context of put it in the context of this Beatles versus Beach Boys thing that I stirred up.
@GlobeBobRyan, correct me if I'm wrong, but the greatest thing about the Beach Boys is that their idols were the 4 freshmen.
I was showing off. That's all. I knew for a fact that they had modeled themselves, their harmony after the 4 freshmen, knowing full well that 90% of what I guess is my audience would have no idea who the 4 freshmen were. I knew that, but I wanted to show off. That's all.
Sorry, science folk, but every time I see or hear AI, I think only of a crossover dribble. You need new terminology. How about FH, fake human?
Yeah, that's the gospel truth. I hear AI and I go, why are they talking about Allen Iverson? And oh God, it's that robot crap. And I guess that was sincere. That wasn't provoking controversy out of nowhere. I honestly think of AI as Allen Iverson and not, whatever it is.
Duck boats.
Artificial intelligence.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, right. Artificial intelligence. Right. Okay.
Duck boats. Hate this keyboard.
Yeah. Well, anything to do with the duck boats to stir up the part of America which is everybody that is outside of Boston who hates Boston. And, so that's all.
Did you have an unfortunate typo? Is that why you hate the keyboard on Duck Boat?
Yeah, something came up, and it had a misspelling or something. And yeah, it was AutoCheck that changed it. Whatever I did,
That D and that F are close together, man.
Yeah, it was AutoCheck, which I hate. It's the bane of all Twitter followers, and maybe I'm and I get hyper and I start doing it, and but I know I checked it. Yeah, auto check. I blame it on auto check.
In response to someone tweeting about Larry Bird's Game 5 of the 1984 NBA Finals, one of my 3 favorite Bird games. I feel like this is a weekly discussion for you, Bob.
Well, it came up, yeah, and people say, what are the other 2? Well, the number 1 would be the Game 6 in 1986 when they beat the Rockets. He was omniscient, that guy. Omnipresent, omniscient. Both ends of the floor. It was probably his greatest defensive presence ever. He was everywhere. He totally dominated the game at both ends of the floor in a way that he seldom did because his defense wasn't his calling card. Another big, the Heat game, that game in question in 1984 when it was 97 degrees Fahrenheit inside the unair-conditioned Boston Garden, and the Lakers were gasping for air, and they brought oxygen tanks, and Bird went 15 for 20 with 34 points and 17 rebounds, shooting 15 for 20. That's 2. And maybe 3 would be, there's so many candidates. He had a game in Portland when he had 47 points, and he had 21 field goals, 11 left-handed and 10 right-handed. That's a game I've always liked.
Bob, what's your 14th favorite Bird game?
Well, let's see. Wow, there was that one against the Knicks. Oh, yeah.
Bob, good talking to you. Thank you for making the time, sir.
You're welcome always, guys. Bye-bye.
See you, Bob.
I had coffee with my colleague half an hour ago.
Maintain security around your property with Blink cameras. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, 2 questions that'll predict the perfect Father's Day gift. First question, is Dad a gadget guy? Second question, does Dad worry about home security? Yes? Then Blink security cameras are a Dad's Day no-brainer. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 lithium batteries that last up to 2 years. And Blink indoor cameras and systems are 20% off through Father's Day. Go to blinkprotect.com/Dan. That's blinkprotect.com/Dan.
¿Qué pasa? You.
First of all, the idea of you beating up anybody is laugh out loud ridiculous.
How do you spell Ferrigno? I'm going to look at him.
Jocular.
No, send him away.
I thought we were doing tickles.
No, send him away.
Yeah, I'd rather be sent away than tickled. Trust me.
All right, everybody in here tickle him.
No!
Everybody in here tickle him.
You called for a penalty box.
Why would you say that? Everyone in here tickle him.
I had already been assigned to the penalty box.
Stugotz is reading the sports flash.
No.
Everybody tickle him.
I'll rip those hands right off your wrists.
You can save hundreds on your car, business. No, you have to tickle until the end of the sports center here.
You're not even tickling, you're poking.
Bill Simmons at 10 minutes. Get in touch with the show anytime to the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed, at Batard Show, at Stugotz790, at Greg Cote. If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A., member FDIC. Guys, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
As Stugotz mentioned, Bill Simmons is going to be here in 10 minutes. Mike, I don't believe you when you say that he said on his podcast that he'd rather have Looney than Kyrie Irving. Looney, whose stats are basically just everything that knucklehead JaVale McGee did for them last year, which is just spend your time around the basket and dunk because they're amazing at ball movement. And so I was stunned to hear you say that. You must have heard him wrong.
No, I reached out for clarification, and he can defend himself. This comes down to respect. He respects what Kevon Looney has done for his team down the stretch here, giving it his all, battling through injury, as opposed to what Kyrie has done, which he'll speak for himself.
Is be a better player as opposed to what Kyrie has done.
Better player.
Who won a championship with a shot that you never want Looney to take.
I don't feel comfortable sharing off the record communication that I had with Bill Simmons. He can defend himself.
That is taking takes to a place no one has ever taken them to. I mean, I am proud of Simmons. I mean, Looney is 6 points, 5 rebounds a game.
All right, put it on the poll, Guillermo.
I think McGee was better.
Has Bill Simmons taken takes to a place that takes have never been taken before?
Simmons might have cussed.
So this is from USA Today for all of you and your legion who are criticizing Nick Nurse today. You cared enough about Nick Nurse to learn his name this season, and he did some amazing things with that team, which is on the cusp of a championship. So, of course, you all know better, and we all know better about his timeout situation than he does. But regardless, this is from USA Today, and it's part of what Nick Nurse's explanation was. The maximum number of timeouts per game has been reduced from 18 to 14, and teams can now call just 2 timeouts instead of 3 in the final 3 minutes of regulation. Teams now have just 2 timeouts to use per overtime session instead of 3. Quote, these changes will help us fulfill our goal to improving game flow and pace of play, the president of operations for the NBA said. Fewer stoppages, less time without action, especially at the end of the game, will further enhance the viewing experience for our fans. So that Nick Nurse was explaining why it is that it was advantageous to him to get Kawhi Leonard and the rest of his team some extra rest in that situation, given that they've changed the timeout rules.
Sometimes when you're a coach, Dan, you know I'm a great coach. You have to look at the other team as well and consider your timeouts. And that other team was reeling, and they were tired, and what you did was you gave them a chance to get some energy back, and they all acknowledged that after the game. The other team.
Good night, Nurse.
Boring.
What?
You know where that phrase comes from? It's a wonderful 1918 black and white film called Good Night Nurse. It grew into a legendary phrase. Look it up.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
Dollar Shave Club, people. Support the people who support us. Dollar Shave Club has been supporting us for a long time.
It was a 1918 film. I mean, he nailed it.
I ain't lying, man. I was there.
His wheelhouse, finally.
I was there.
It's a movie more than a century old.
First in line at the theater, huh?
Happy anniversary.
Dollar Shave Club's quality products will help you look, feel, and smell your best without going to a store. Right now, you can get a Dollar Shave Club starter set for just $5. It comes with everything you need for a great shave, the executive razor, shave butter, and face cleanser. You're going to love it. Get your starter set for just $5 only at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. Bill Simmons joins us next.
Keep it on the...
And finally, Pennzoil Performance Line.
Excellent, interesting work for The Ringer and HBO. Bill Simmons with us now on ESPN Radio. Thank you for joining us. Your most interesting takeaways from watching that game last night, which was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, we had to do a podcast right after. I did it with Russillo. And I can't remember being kind of more overwhelmed by the start of a podcast. There were so many different ways to go. And as we were doing it, it became clear KD had really suffered a serious injury. We were hoping it was like a torn calf. But I think what's gotten probably lost today, and rightly so because the KD thing is so devastating, but just an unbelievable team win for the Warriors to be down 6, 3 minutes left on the road. And they've done this so many different times now where a lot of their best moments have really happened on the road these last 5 years. I think pretty much all of their signature victories have happened in situations like this, really hostile crowd, deck stacked against them, and the best shooting backcourt of all time over and over again just coming through in big moments. And I think when you're down 6, Kawhi's just scored 12, you don't have Durant, Looney's out, they're going offense, defense with Quinn Cook and Andre Iguodala. You have Cousins out there who was just a complete disaster the last 3 minutes. He had 2 goaltendings, moving screen, got beat up the dribble. Like, they were basically playing 4-on-5. To pull that game out, incredible. Really one of the great We're the Champs wins, and I think this is one of the signature teams of all time. I think it's a top 5 team.
Are we headed toward the inevitable Draymond Green will be suspended for Game 7 and the Warriors will become, against all odds, lovable underdogs?
Well, at that point, they wouldn't have anybody left. You would think that would be part of the Raptors' game plan, right? Like I always felt like LeBron in the back of his head knew what he was doing in Game 4 in 2016 when he kind of goaded Draymond into retaliating. And it was just smart. I mean, he doesn't get credit for it. You would wonder if Toronto now is going to incorporate this in their game plan, put some agitators in, maybe sign somebody like in Slapshot when they sign the bad guys for the one game, maybe sign one guy for a 10-day contract just to antagonize him. He did a nice job for about 2-3 weeks there of talking about how he was the newer, mellower Draymond. He wasn't going to let stuff. He was very serene, and that's just gone now. Now he's back to being the old Draymond. So, yeah, he's a wild card. I think there's no question. You see it in hockey. We're watching now in the Stanley Cup playoffs where when the game's decided, they try to just provoke and antagonize each other. Maybe Toronto does that.
How'd you feel about the Raptor fans initially cheering when Kevin Durant went down with that injury?
Horrible. I don't ever remember watching a basketball game where the players on both sides were immediately bummed out and motioned them to stop. Can you guys remember that happening before? I don't.
I don't remember it. No.
So that was not a great moment, and all of it was so bad. He goes down, the camera goes because they get a fast break the other way, and Breen makes it clear there's something wrong with Durant. And there's that 2-second stretch where you're like, oh man, when the camera cuts back to him, I hope he's not lying looking at his leg. And then there it was. And I felt so bad for that guy, especially because when that happens to you, then to have people cheering, even if it was for a couple of seconds, like that's just brutal. Maybe he didn't hear it, but really, really, really a sad and bad moment.
Bill, who's the more attractive free agent get right now, Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant, 3 years older, coming off an Achilles?
Well, I think Kawhi.
Didn't you just answer your own question?
Yeah,
to me, it's debatable.
I agree. It's still
debatable. How's it debatable? One of them can play next season and one of them can't.
Let's hear Bill answer, shall we?
This Achilles thing really, really, really concerns me and worries me because I've never really been satisfied with how anyone's come back from this. And
Dominique is the only one, right?
Dominique averaged 30 a game the year after he tore his Achilles, Bill.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
He wasn't Kevin Durant playing 100 games in a season potentially, which is if you're signing him, it's somebody that you want for 82 games in 4 rounds. And, KD's 7 feet tall. He's got a lot of miles on him already. He's played 12 seasons. And it's just a bummer. That my thought last night after just trying to digest what happened with that game was just this is one of the best 15 players ever. and this might be the end of something. You know, whether he's able to regroup a year from now and put it back together and be 80 to 85% of what he was, that would be incredible. I think asking for 100% when he's 32 years old coming back from this isn't realistic. I was just bummed because I just think he's an incredible basketball player. I really do. I think he's one of the best 4 forwards ever. And the irony of him going down in round 2 when we were finally all agreeing that this was the best guy in the league, and then how this has played out, it just really seems cruel to me.
You seem like you're sniffling and as emotional as Bob Myers.
No, I've actually, it's West Coast morning time, so I'm still not totally awake, Levitard.
All right. Bill Simmons with us, ESPN Radio.
Real or fake reaction from Myers after the
Oh,
game?
come on. What kind of questions are you guys asking?
Come on.
Let Bill answer it. Hold on, let me hear.
Stugotz, not now. Not now.
Too soon?
No. Stop it.
What?
He can't help himself. He's questioning
I mean, Bill, a bit of a put on. You hear these sniffles, like perfectly injected. It's like he scripted it out beforehand. If someone's in his ear, time to sniffle.
I thought Stugotz was going to ask me about the Demons heading into Game 7 of the Bruins series. I was waiting for that one.
We're largely ignoring hockey.
Tough break, another championship on the cusp. Where is Bobby Orr? Where is Brad Parks? Where are they? They okay? Everyone's fine?
The hockey fans are fine with us ignoring hockey. They want it that way. They want us to just stay out of their sport, and everybody is pretty much obliging at this point. I've watched every minute of the Stanley Cup. I haven't tweeted it once.
Do you find interesting sort of the predicament that the Warriors were in terms of everybody involved being incentivized to pressure Kevin Durant to do that to his future?
So, Levitard, this is kind of your corner. You love thinking about it from the player's perspective and all that stuff. I find it hard to believe that Kevin Durant, a 30-year-old man who's made hundreds of millions of dollars, who is a really confident guy who I've spent some time with, could just be pressured into doing something that he didn't want to do. Hey, this isn't like convincing my 11-year-old son that he has to work on his baseball swing in the backyard. He's a grown-ass man. He wanted to play, and I think if you're thinking about we pressured him, he read all the stuff and people were wondering where his heart was and he had one foot out the door. I don't know if all that's true. All I know is when you're that close to winning a title and you have a chance to win 3 and you feel like you can go out there and help the team, we've seen a lot of people do that. And this was the absolute worst case scenario. And I think that my reaction last night watching it was I thought he was going to play 20 to 25 minutes and be somebody that spaced the floor, kind of used like Harrison Barnes was in 2016, not ask too much from him. They played him. They played him the first 5.5 minutes. They took him out for 2 minutes, and then they played him the rest of the time until he got hurt. And they were acting like he was 100%. He was fine. I don't understand why the Warriors handled that way, to be honest. It seemed like they were on pace to be well, he's been cleared to play. There's no minutes restriction. He's going to play 40 minutes. Let's run some ISOs for him. I thought that was crazy. And I'm not saying that's directly why he got hurt, but I thought they definitely took a car that was meant to go, 70 miles on the highway and decided to see what would happen if they drove at 100. I think it was a mistake.
Less than a minute left here. Bill Simmons with us on ESPN Radio.
Looney over Kyrie. Explain yourself.
Oh, my God. You didn't say that. You didn't say that.
I'm proud of you, but explain it.
Looney over Kyrie Irving? You'd rather have Looney?
Listen, you guys know how this works better than anybody. This was part of a bigger conversation, and 10 seconds got pulled out of it. I was talking about how much respect I had for Looney, who was clearly in a significant amount of pain and decided to play through it and play anyway and give everything he could to his team, versus what I watched with Kyrie Irving, who rolled over the last couple games of the Bucks series and didn't seem like he cared if they won or lost. And I was just going forward, I would rather have a guy like Looney on the Celtics than Kyrie Irving. I don't think that's a crazy take.
It is a crazy take.
It is the craziest take of all time.
It's a Looney take. Yeah. The take is just Looney. Get out of here.
The take is Looney. Listen, I wish Kyrie Irving the best of luck on his next team.
You don't.
I really do.
No,
and
you don't.
I really genuinely hope his next team happens next season because we're good in Boston.
See you later, Bill. Good talking to you.
Bye, guys.
See you, Bill.
It is all about the Benjamins, baby.
Beware the demons. Support Bombas. Bombas supports us. It's easy to support Bombas. Tell them why, Stugotz.
Yep, Bombas are the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. Made from premium cotton, Bombas stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer. And every pair comes with a built-in blister tab, innovative arch support, stay-up technology, and a seamless toe. With many colors, patterns, lengths, and styles, Bombas look great at the gym, at the office, and out on the town. Bombas are what feet daydream about. And for every Bombas purchase you make, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. How about that? Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/Dan today and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Dan for 20% off.
Escúchame.
Play Bomani Jones plays, getting something stuck in his throat as he welcomes back people to his radio show.
Excuse me. Help me. Oh.
I don't know. Hold on a second. I just don't know what is the most amazing part of that sound. The excuse me, the burp, or the help me. Oh.
It's help me.
I think it's the burp. I think it's the burp.
Here, no.
All you little birds better lock up tight.
Cause there's a foul owl on the prowl tonight.
Hey, little lark, get out of the dark. Foul owl on the prowl.
Dan, it is time to take a look at who got it done. Rory McIlroy.
You always.
I can't do it, man.
You always put.
It's U.S. Open week.
You have a weird golf dyslexia on only that name.
It's
that
crazy.
Makes you put the L in front of the E every time.
I don't understand why. How do you say it?
McIlroy.
McIlroy? Anyway, his golf game was stellar this weekend during the RBC Canadian Open. So much so that there was talk of him achieving the 11th sub-60 round in PGA history. That's incredible, man. Though he missed that mark by 2 strokes, he wound up winning the tournament by 7 strokes, the 4th time he's won by at least 7 shots, and it's his 16th PGA Tour victory. Rory McIlroy. Getting it done is brought to you by Grainger. Grainger's got your back when it comes to the safety and industrial supplies that help keep your facility running. Get what you need when you need it, only at Grainger.com.
I just heard one of the dumbest conversations I've ever heard going on in the other room. And that's saying something after Bill Simmons just got done telling us he'd rather have Looney than Kyrie Irving. But the argument that just broke out between the Beach Boys and the Beatles in the other room, what did you guys call Kokomo?
Kokomo is easily one of the top 5 cruise songs of all time. Not even debatable.
No
Not
doubt.
even debatable.
He is right.
I called it one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
I agree with
Billy
Roy.
called it the best Beach Boys song ever.
No, false. That's not what happened.
I think I said that, Mike.
No. Stugotz said, "What's your favorite Beach Boys song?" And I said, "Oh man, I really like Kokomo, but I feel like that's the easy answer here."
You said Kokomo's too easy.
It is too easy. That's a great song. It's a top 5 cruise song. We've gone over that already. Here's the thing when putting together the top 5 cruise songs.
Put it on the list. Put it on the poll, by the way, at Le Batard Show. Is Kokomo a top 5 cruise song, and is Kokomo the Beach Boys' best song?
Yes. Well, now that we've moved past those obvious questions, here's the thing. When putting together the top 5 cruise songs of all time, you can only include one Bob Marley song. Wow. Because if Bob Marley is in this, then he's all top 5.
Three Little Birds.
I agree. I think it has to be Three Little Birds. Maybe
Is Margaritaville in this cruise top 5?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's the song they're playing when you walk on the boat, when you leave the boat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Three Little Birds over Is This Love? I know it's tight, but Three Little Birds? Yes. Three Little Birds? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what were the dumbest parts? Because I could only hear parts of the conversation from in here.
Come Sail Away, Styx. I mean, it's an amazing Mike, I am telling you, no, I am not on an island. That is one of the all-time great cruise songs.
The cruise has dropped you off on an island.
Lovely cruise, Jimmy Buffett.
Stay there with that opinion.
No, but I feel like it's the same thing. It's the same Bob Marley rule. You can only have one Buffett song in the top 5.
Zach Brown Band Toes. That is a cruise beach song.
Not top 5 cruise.
Got to have Kenny Chesney in there somewhere, right?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you need a little
Buffett wannabe.
You need a steel drum in your cruise songs.
Can I just point out to you, Billy, that
No.
it wasn't but a few days ago that you accused us of old guy rock and roll radio
No, this
by
is
becoming the show that talked like
This
all
is-
the song, everything mentioned here is ancient. I think Styx is the most recent band.
Yeah, but
This is a different category.
cruise songs.
These are cruise
yes,
songs,
yes,
Dan.
Cruise songs.
I had to
yes.
play Juvenile's Back That Ass Up on a Cruise. It's a good song, but I'm not bringing that into the conversation. It's a different vibe. Now, that on a cruise, on the white hot, night where you go out to sea that everybody's wearing white, banger, but not exactly a cruise song.
How about Red Red Wine?
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
Red
a
Red
classic,
Wine is
yeah.
a classic cruise song.
Any love for yacht rock?
No.
No? What?
No.
Steal Away? Robbie Dupree.
No.
Am I the only one that thought their whole life that Red Red Wine was a Bob Marley song? And then I found out it's not.
It isn't. It was actually written by Neil Diamond, by the way.
It was.
Wow.
This is the oldest music segment ever done anywhere.
It got younger with Neil Diamond.
It's unbelievable. and the stunning part about it is there a Beach Boys Beatles debate was raging. Are the Beatles overrated?
Yes.
Are the Beach Boys underrated?
Well, it started with Bob Ryan when he joined us because he was talking about the Beach Boys. I happen to think the Beatles are overrated and the Beach Boys are vastly underrated.
But this is the Greg Cote wheelhouse. How
Yeah, it
did we
is.
do it, the oldest segment in the history of radio, without getting an opinion from the oldest man in the history of radio on this?
That's right. Beach Boys, baby.
Chime in.
I just did.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio. And now, the Ron Magill Show.
Hey, Ron, if Dan were eaten by a grizzly bear, how long could that grizzly bear live off of Dan's fat alone? Dan, you're fat.
The calculations done by a University of Iowa research engineer, the state produces more poop per square mile than any other state in the country. Here's a word from farmers.
At Farmers Insurance, we know a roof can withstand a lot. One exception being an airborne car. Seen it, covered it. Talk to farmers.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So Ron Magill is very popular here, although I think he was unseated last week as most popular segment by Tim Kirch. And we will get to your calls for Ron Magill about the Animal Kingdom in a second. But I need to tell you that Stugotz has found the definitive list of top 10 cruise songs of all time. So he will be sprinkling it in here amid all of the callers. The telephone number is 786-456-4837. Let's start with number 10, Stugotz.
Got it from cruisesongs.com. Kokomo is number 10.
Reggie, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Reggie.
Hey, Ron, I don't know if you saw like a week or so ago, there was like a swarm of bees at like a Padres game, and it seems like this happens once or twice a summer. What causes all these bees to like suddenly be there swarming around a net at a game, and like what do they have to do to get rid of them? Thanks.
Well, what they're usually doing there is they're following the queen. A queen is going somewhere to relocate. It just happens to be she may have landed in the stadium someplace, and all these worker bees are following that queen. They're getting ready to establish another hive. It just happens to be she landed. There's nothing in particular that might have drawn her to that area, except for maybe some heat or some smell or something. But generally speaking, she's just flying to find an area where they can start a new hive, and all those other bees are following her. To get those bees out of there, you got to find that queen and move her out, and they will follow.
Number 9, Stugotz.
Three Little Birds.
Ron, a follow-up on the bees. Do you totally dismiss the idea that there's a chance that maybe the bees just wanted to have an outing?
Yes, I totally dismissed that idea.
Number 8, Stugotz.
Miami.
Ron, if we can clone animals like sheeps and bees are in danger, why haven't we been able to clone bees yet?
It's not a matter of cloning an animal to have it exist. How do we keep it alive? Why are the bees dying? Is it going to make any sense to clone an animal if it's just going to die? They're having these colonies just wiped out, and it's just that's what we have to find out. What is killing the bees? It's not a matter of getting them to reproduce. It's what is killing the bees. So certainly, cloning might be something to think about in the future if something's actually becoming in danger. But if you can't keep it alive once it's there, what's the sense?
But Ron, humans have outings. So do you know for a fact that a bee would never want to have an outing?
I don't know.
Why are you still
for
here?
A fact.
Number 7, Stugotz.
Don't worry, be happy.
Ron, is there something the Padres could have done differently? They could have had a beekeeper come out the other day. They came out and just killed a bunch of bees, just killed them. And I'm wondering how that situation can be handled because nobody wants to be sitting at a baseball games around bees.
Right. Well, first of all, people are assuming all these bees are out to sting you. The bees really don't want anything to do with you. If you look at people like beekeepers, they go in there. Many of them don't even wear protective clothing, and they transfer the bees without ever getting stung. The key thing is to move the queen. I think in that situation, we were talking about, public safety or public perception of safety, and they didn't have the time or the money at the time to hire a beekeeper to get in there to look for the queen and move it out. And, you've got players out there that are making gazillion dollars a day, and you're paying them to wait for bees to move. So they had to get that as quickly as possible.
Number 6, Stugotz.
Southern Cross.
Jose, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Jose.
Hey, Ron. My daughter has become an animal advocate, like the ones you really dislike with the roaches. And she has stopped eating meat through watching videos on YouTube. How do I get my daughter? How do I get in my daughter's head that eating meat is healthy for human and for humanity because animals are going to overtake if we don't eat meat?
Well, I don't think that's true that animals are going to overtake if we don't eat meat. What I would suggest to her, and I understand her reasons for not eating meat, is a lot of the meat that we harvest isn't harvested in a very humane way. I think if she starts to understand the circle of life, and I understand that there are going to be people listening who are vegans or vegetarians are going to just lash out at me, but I also believe that animal protein is a normal part of our diet. For the longest time they said, look at the chimpanzees. Why can't be more like chimpanzees since they're 98.8% genetically identical to us? They just eat fruits and vegetables. They're such peaceful animals until, Jane Goodall and other researchers did studies and realized that not only are they not peaceful animals, they'll actually go out there and kill other monkeys and eat them, and that meat does play a major part in their diet. I'm not saying we have to go out and act like animals. I think we need to be humane in the way we raise our livestock and the way we harvest our livestock, but I personally do believe that animal protein is a natural part of our diet. We are omnivores, like bears.
Number 5, Stugotz.
Caribbean Queen.
Oh, God.
Ron, your Zoo Miami just had the public debut of a newborn one-horned Indian rhino. Why is that significant? Why was that a big deal?
Well, it was a big deal for us and really for anybody who's dealing with the species because it was the first time ever that a birth was the result of a combination of induced ovulation and artificial insemination. I mean, that's really incredible stuff that we can get this female to ovulate artificially. We can collect the semen from the male. The male doesn't even have to see the female. Inseminate and she takes this baby to term, and it's a beautiful, healthy baby. That is a huge advantage for these managed programs under human care where we're trying to keep these animals a good insurance policy of a population against a very unsure future for them in the wild.
Number 4, Stugotz.
Red wine.
Enrique, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hola, Ron. I'm calling because I saw bald eagles mating in midair, and I thought it was cool, and I was wondering what your favorite animal mating ritual is.
Well, what you probably saw eagles not really mating in midair. They were probably jousting and combining their talons, and they come down like a big helicopter when they do that, and people may think it's mating. It's not actual mating. The mating actually takes place on the top of a tree, where female's on one branch and the male just kind of mounts her from behind. That's the actual mating. But the courtship and the stuff that you see in the air is quite dramatic. As far as my favorite animal mating goes, geez, it's got to be like the mannequin birds. These birds do this incredible dance, and you see the female. The males look spectacular. They look like a jewelry store, but the females are very blasé, and this male is just killing himself. He does this dance. He looks like Michael Jackson moonwalking back and forth, and the feathers do this incredible splash of feathering and colors and stuff, and the female sometimes doesn't even pay any attention, but the male seems so desperate, and then the female does one thing, like a subtle thing that says, okay, it's okay, and then boom, it's done. But it's done like in 3 or 4 seconds. He puts in so much work for that 3 or 4 seconds. It's got to be the best 3 or 4 seconds in life.
Rick Pitino. Number 3, Stugotz.
One particular harbor.
Really?
Yeah, that's your Buffett song, man. Listen, you got, if you have any arguments here, bring it up with cruisesongs.com.
Eric, you're on with Ron Magill. Go ahead.
Okay, my name's Aaron, first of all. Second of all, I have a 2-part question. The first part for Ron is it true that there's a spider always 6 feet from you wherever you are? Because I'm a super arachnophobe. And secondly, I need you guys to bring back the smoke break with Mikey C, please. It's the funniest thing you guys do. I die laughing every time. Please bring it back. Thanks.
Well, as far as the question that pertains to me, no, it's not true that there's always a spider 6 feet from you no matter where you are, so don't worry about that. But there are a lot of spiders around, and they are in places that you don't know they're at, and most of the spiders in this world you never see, though they are close to you. But there's not always a spider 6 feet from you, so relax.
Number 2, Stugotz.
Sail away.
Tim, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, Ron, I was wondering, with bats using sonar and all, do they fly in the daytime and do they migrate?
They do fly in the daytime, and they, generally speaking, do not migrate. They don't fly in the middle of the day, but they certainly fly at dusk and dawn. So they do have the light out, and they do have decent eyesight. You know, that term blind as a bat is one of the biggest misconceptions in the world. They have pretty decent eyesight.
Dustin, you're on with Ron Magill. Go ahead.
Ron, hey, it's Dustin. Listen, I just want to follow up with the bee at the event. Do the Padres have some kind of promotional event for the bees to come on a different night to encourage them to calm out as an outing instead of disrupt the game? Thank you.
Dustin, you can walk into the ocean, too.
Whoa!
Jeff, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing at that and the Rick Pitino thing. Hey, Ron. Look, I don't want to be too flippant about this because I'm an actual crazy person, but I have a dog that I consider a support animal. And it occurred to me that she's the one who has to hang out with a crazy person all the time. So if she needed a support animal of her own, what would she want?
Well, you are, in fact, her support animal. That's the bottom line. So congratulations for helping your dog out through her life.
What is the video that you have for us this week, Ron?
Okay,
We end every
there we go.
segment. This time we will end it with Stugotz's number 1, which we're teasing for time spent listening because we know you're just sitting around waiting, from cruiseships.com.
It's cruise songs at the fine.
Ron, what's the video you're play-by-play
video.
today?
Hitting the play now. We're out. Oh, there's a crocodile sticking its head out of the water. Oh, they're baiting it. They got something to see. This crocodile's going to come out of the water. People think crocodiles can't come out of the water, but watch this. Yo! All the way out of the water.
God.
That's just all the tail. So those of you who think that crocodiles cannot come and jump out of water, think again, because that thing looks like flipping Shamu coming out of the water.
It totally breached the water going vertically
Exactly, and that's
up.
all the tail strength. That's all the tail strength. It's using its tail like a big rudder to send out of the water. It gives you an idea of how powerful those tails are, and that's why you don't mess with crocodiles.
It looks
What's
fake.
number 1, Stugotz? Come
Yeah.
on, I'm waiting. I don't care about my segment.
That video looks fake. It's a croc.
Oh,
wow, you delivered that joke in the most bored, indifferent way. Like, your comedic timing was so lazy there.
I mean, Ron stepped on my toes. I mean, to be honest with you. I know I owe $2 for blaming him.
Ron, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Number 1!
And the number 1 cruise song of all time, according to cruisesongs.com, is...
Toes!
God, wasn't worth it.
He hung up a landline on it.
Here comes the money truck.
Toes?
Toes, man. Mike called it.
You don't know Toes?
There's just a bunch of people that don't know Toes.
All right, come back with
Oh, you love
Toes.
Toes?
Come back with what you're alleging is the number 1 cruise song of all time.
You've heard Toes. I mean, you just wouldn't know it, but when you hear it, you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
I got my toes in the water, ass in the sand, not a worry in the world.
A cold beer in my hand.
Life is good today.
Life is good today.
No, it's not.
They do it so much better than us.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
come back with Zach Brown and his band.
Okay.
Tiso, people, Father's Day is almost here, and we're making it easy for you. So is Tiso. Take care of Dad with a sponsor who supports us. Support the people who support us. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, this Father's Day, gift dad at Tissot. Tissot is the official watch of the NBA, and the Tissot NBA collection offers different timepieces in all 30 teams. Plus, the newest edition, the Tissot Chrono XL NBA Collector, is made with official Spalding game ball leather. Every Tissot timepiece delivers quality, performance, and traditional luxury at an unbeatable price. Shop the Tissot collection at us.tissotshop.com and at select watch and jewelry stores nationwide.
Give me more of the Don Leber.
What do you imagine Pitbull smells like? The bidding starts with Fats and Info.
my dad's cologne.
Okay, that's good. Guillermo, what do you imagine Pitbull smells like?
A combination of sweat and like agua de violeta.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah, I'd say sweat and sexuality. Roy, what do you got there?
Drakkar Noir.
Okay, you guys are all going with colognes of some sort. Mike, what about you? What would be your guess on what Pitbull smells like?
Fireball. Favorite podcast provider. Subscribe, rate, review, and listen to this new one with Adam Carolla. It gets dark.
Yeah, I was surprised where his comedy comes from. Even though comedy comes often from pain, it really sounds like his father didn't love him. And so I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, he's not doing a lot of laughing when he's talking about his relationship with his father. So check that out. South Beach Sessions, Adam Carolla this week. Before we talk more about what it is that happened last night in basketball, I have in front of me a constructed wheel of Greg Cote issues. Greg Cote has not been enough a part of the show today, so let's see what this wheel lands on. Here are the topics on the wheel. The Greg Cote wheel of topics. He says he dodged a bullet today, almost had to cancel his appearance at a Father's Day fiesta over a Miami Herald conflict that he heroically worked around.
Thank you.
Kevin Durant's wavering legacy as Golden State continues to win without him. Women's World Cup. Dolphins will be too good for Tua. Howard Schnellenberg bleeped again.
Burger.
Yep.
Schnellenberger. Sorry, what did I say?
Berg.
That's a fine. You left the E and R out. $2.
Tiger and a bunch of other guys begin the U.S. Open. Big Papi, are you allowed to be happy that O.J. Simpson seems happy?
Yes.
Well, that's not where the wheel.
Hard to believe it's now less than 7 weeks till Greg Cote Day at a Fort Myers minor league ballpark.
How about that? Thanks for bringing that up.
All right, so go ahead and spin the wheel. It's on the wheel. I didn't bring it up.
Which one I'm rooting for?
Come on.
OJ.
Let's go.
All right, there it is. Let's see. Yes, are we allowed to be happy that O.J. Simpson seems happy?
How about that?
Amazing.
Did anybody else see this? The Associated Press got an exclusive interview with O.J. Simpson, who now lives in Las Vegas. And he seemed very content with his life, plays golf every day, very tranquil, very happy, no regrets, nothing. And it struck me that I don't know what the right reaction to that is. Half of the country thinks that he got away with double murder. He did 9 years for robbery.
I have a hard time believing O.J. Simpson doesn't have any regrets.
Yeah, no regrets.
I have a hard time believing that.
I mean, none that he'll speak of. He calls that his no controversy zone or something. He does not go back and discuss what happened.
I can think of 3 regrets.
Yep.
At the very least 3.
And I also think more than half the country believe that.
It could be. But the point is, the story conveys a very content, relatively happy O.J. Simpson who says life is good. And I just wonder if people are okay with that, or if most people think, he got away with murder.
Well, him living the good life while the Goldmans still suffer and want their civil suit money.
Right.
Him living the good life is something that many people are going to object to.
Well, are you okay with it? Are you happy that he's happy?
He seems to be happy for O.J. Simpson,
I'm
which
not.
is not.
I think it's a question worth raising because, if you believe the legal system, okay, he was acquitted on double murder. He did time and pretty hard time for what he was convicted of. And now that he's done his time, is he entitled to the happy.
So you're sitting
life that
out
he's
having
leading.
an opinion. You're just asking the question.
Yeah, I am.
You're just
because I'm conflicted. I don't know how to feel about O.J.
Well, he's entitled because he's a free man. The question you're asking is, are you allowed to be happy that he's happy?
Right.
So are you happy that he's happy? You don't know?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. Not everything is black and white. There are gray areas.
Oh, this one's black and white.
This one is like famously black and white.
Okay, so you begrudge him any contentment at age 71. You don't think he's allowed to live the rest of his life and be content?
Wow, you
Because
put a lot
believe,
of
you believe he got away
yes,
with murder.
deep
which is
unhappiness. I didn't say any of that.
Okay, say what you believe.
You're not saying much.
He served his time.
Well, we're getting a pretty good idea what you believe.
No,
he's just asking the question.
Oh, I'm glad you raised it.
That's the Dan move.
I believe it has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt that that dude is guilty, no matter what the court system said about him. And the penalty that he suffered for his crime, for that crime that he suffered, was too large.
Yes, I agree.
The one that for the memorabilia, but the one he didn't suffer for the other crime that most people believe he committed.
Right.
That one he deserves to not have a whole lot of freedom.
But are you happy that he's currently happy? Does anyone want to answer this question?
I don't think you're. The question was, are we allowed to be happy that O.J. Simpson?
You're welcome, by the way, for asking such a thought-provoking question.
The answer is no. You're not allowed to be happy that O.J. Simpson seems happy.
That would appear to be the right answer, Dan.
Would you rather have a personal chef, trainer, driver, or masseuse?
You have all of them, huh?
Yes. Yeah, why do I have to choose? Why do I have to choose?
You're experiencing the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN.
ESPN Radio.
Chicken cutlet?
Yeah, with extra mayo. Is presented by Progressive Insurance. A little cheese, too, melted on there, Mikey. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Diamondbacks and Phillies combined to hit a Major League record 13 home runs as Arizona won 13-8. The D-backs hit a team record 8, and the Phillies hit 5. The Vikings have signed Kyle Rudolph to a contract extension. The new deal is worth $36 million over 4 years. And finally, dozing off to late-night TV or sleeping with other lights on may mix up your metabolism and lead to weight gain and even obesity. Preliminary U.S. research suggests the National Institutes of Health study published Monday bolsters evidence suggesting that too much exposure to light at night could pose health risks.
That's the reason I'm fat.
That and putting fries in your salad. Wedding season is upon us, and the easiest way to look fresh for your big day is with theblack.tux.com. The Black Tux has awesome suits and tuxedos that you rent online. They get $20 off your purchase. Visit theblack.tux.com, enter code Dan. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
We will get back to last night's games, and we want to update some polls here as well at Le Batard Show on Instagram and Twitter. But first, we believe this to be the greatest sound in the history of Stephen A. Smith sound. It's a lot. The library of great Stephen A. Smith sound is bountiful, but we believe that Stephen A. Smith, when asked about the O.J. Simpson trial, gave the best Stephen A. Smith sound any of us have ever heard.
I have profound respect for the late Johnny Cochran, God rest his soul. But if it might be the cockiest thing that I've ever said. Christopher Darden and Marcia Clark did an absolutely horrendous job as prosecutors. Because if it were me, there's no way in hell Johnny Cochran would have beaten me with that evidence that they had. I'm telling you right now, I'm not even a lawyer. There is no way that you would have put 12 jurors in front of me with that evidence, and I would have lost to even to Johnny Cochran. I'd have won that trial. I've often said that.
Oh, well, in that case.
I've often said it.
Those two sentences right there, I'd have won that trial. I've often said that is tremendous.
He has himself beating one of the best trial attorneys that we've ever seen.
Well, but because O.J. Simpson was clearly guilty. And everyone should have won that trial. I've often said that.
Is Stephen A. the most confident man in America? Who's more confident than Stephen A.?
He's got to be the most confident in sports media, but that's not saying much. That's you're the king of Feces Mountain there, Frank.
It is saying a lot.
No, it is not.
Yes.
The most confident in sports.
Everybody's cocky. Everybody's got a big ego if you're talking into a
in
microphone.
sports
This
media?
is a very insecure industry.
Very insecure.
Really?
Staggering in its
Yes.
insecurity.
Wow, okay.
You think it's not?
I think
just because you're delusionally confident about being bad, you think
Right.
everyone is?
Yeah, exactly.
At Levitard Show on Instagram and Twitter. You're welcome.
It was a very nice compliment. I mean.
Exactly. That's why I said thank you.
At Levitard Show on Instagram and Twitter. Go ahead, Stugotz.
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club delivers the products you use to look, feel, and smell your best right to your door. Plus, with their handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Dan for a special offer. Again, at Levitard Show on Twitter. Have you ever borrowed a hoe from a neighbor? What a ridiculous question. 81% of the audience said no.
Oh, brother. No farmers in the audience.
Has a neighbor ever borrowed a hoe from you? 83% of the audience said no.
Come on, people.
Would you watch a channel just dedicated to blame? Be all over that thing. 57% of the audience said yes. Does the active hoe change your life? It's a big one. 66% of the audience, Greg, said yes.
Yeah. All right.
Has Bill Simmons taken takes to a place that takes have never been taken before? 72% of the audience said yes, he has.
He said he'd rather have Looney than Kyrie Irving.
It's Looney. Those are the polls.
Happy 50th birthday to Peter Dinklage.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Lil Buddy. What was his character's name in Game of Thrones? He won Tyrion.
Tyrion.
Let's get that Steph Curry sound here on why it is that he walked back to the locker room with Kevin Durant. You don't often see that. Mark Jackson pointed it out that Andre Iguodala and Steph Curry, both starters, walked Durant back to the locker room. Let's hear Steph in his own words.
Sometimes the spirit tells you what to do. You don't really make decisions. You just act on it. So I can't tell you what went through my head. It felt right.
Billy, why were you skeptical, Billy, there? You don't believe the spirit moved Steph Curry? Why do you guys question all the emotion around the Golden State Warriors?
Why not? I mean, seriously, I think it was guilt.
I'm hoping that the arena's haunted and he just had ghosts telling him what to do, which would be great. Imagine if he was just followed around by ghosts all the time.
Don't you feel that he is sometimes when he's shooting? Like it's cartoonish, some of the stuff that he makes.
Wow, so like angels in the outfield, but he has ghosts that are helping him make shots.
Friendly ghost.
Yeah.
A bunch of Caspers. Why is there only Casper as a friendly ghost? Because like all the other ghosts you see are usually like scary and doing bad things, but only Casper for whatever reason, like, you know what, I want to be your friend.
Yeah. Very mischievous ghost are.
There's only one friendly ghost? That's the only friendly ghost is Casper?
Only one I can think of. Let's look that up.
All the other ones are unfriendly? Put it on the poll at Levitard Show. Is Casper the only friendly ghost, and are all other ghosts unfriendly? It's kind of the same question. But I don't know the answer to that. Why are you doing a bat of some sort, Christopher Cote?
When you see the angels and angels in the outfit, you're supposed to.
Oh,
I don't know,
okay.
I thought you guys were supposed to join in.
No, Sam.
Yeah, I'm
Sam
good,
and
thanks.
Ghost. He was a nice ghost.
Who?
Sam.
Which one was Sam?
Patrick Swayze.
Oh, yeah, he's such a nice ghost. Yeah.
Well, he killed somebody.
Yeah, but he had to. He was doing what he had to do.
No. They were
Yeah.
actually very careful. Like, he didn't actually do, like, the act.
Right.
He had no way of knowing the window was going to fall down and impale him.
Was Space Ghost a friendly ghost?
Space Ghost wasn't an actual
He was
ghost.
doing
That
good
was
work,
just his-
though. I know.
Space Ghost wasn't an actual ghost. He would just dress up like a ghost.
Abraham Lincoln sightings are so common that he's called the White House Ghost. It's not a joke.
That's not
I'm
a joke.
reading
Look
it.
at that. He's reading. He's being helpful.
Right.
Ghost
Is that what he was being?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He was being.
I didn't know that the White House was haunted by
on
Abraham
the internet.
Lincoln.
It's got to be true.
That's a terrifying ghost to see.
That's a fact, Jack.
I don't believe that's a fact. I don't
It says
believe
right here,
you.
one of America's most famous presidents is also one of our most famous ghosts.
It says right here.
I'm looking at it.
Is your source. It says right here.com.
Right. And one of our most famous ghosts is highlighted in blue, meaning you can click on it and get details.
All right, go ahead and give us all the details you have on this, okay? Please, as fast as you can. He's clicking. It's not very fast.
Well, you know. All right, here we go. Was Abraham Lincoln really a vampire hunter? Probably not. Or at least if there was, there's no actual record of it. But there are plenty of unusual stories about the 16th president that you probably don't know, like the fact that he was the first president to sport a beard. Where's this ghost talk? Clickbait. What the heck's going on?
Clickbait.
Beep, beep, beep. Here comes the money truck.
Still looking for a ghost tie.
Get yourself a new pair of socks today. Help someone, by the way, when you do that, who needs a pair of socks as well. You go with Bombas. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, Bombas are the most comfortable socks in the history of feet, made from premium cotton. Bombas stay warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and every pair comes with a built-in blister tab, innovative arch support, stay-up technology, and a seamless toe. With many colors, patterns, lengths, and styles, Bombas look great in the gym, at the office, and out on the town. Bombas are what feet daydream about, and for every Bombas purchase you make, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/Dan today and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Dan for 20% off. Bombas.com/Dan.
You're in go.
If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking. Roy, I'm coming off a lacrosse weekend, man. I was coaching hard. We got beat. I was yelling at referees. Sorry about the phlegm. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald is in with us. We will get to some of his topics in a moment because he is fired up. What are you laughing about?
Just the show.
He's fired up about Women's World Cup.
Damn, yes.
5
Really
goal
am.
favorites. Damn, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're a narrow favorite. Mike would agree. Host France and Germany, I think, are right there.
Yes, but today we're expecting a goal fest against Thailand,
Yes.
aren't we, Greg?
Yeah, we're looking to win, I would say, 6-1. I think they sneak in a cheap goal off Hope.
5-goal favorite, though? Is that the Hope who?
Do you think Hope Solo's
You
the
think
keeper
Hope
still?
Solo is
Yeah.
still the keeper? Okay, I'm glad we went to you on that. Excellent suggestion by you. to
Oh,
give
in
me
my
that,
dream she
that,
is.
that kind of expertise.
Baby.
Why would you? What's the matter with you?
do
Go
you mean?
sit in the penalty box. Get out of here.
Yeah, get out.
5-minute
Get out of
major.
here. You
She's
can't
still the
do
goalie,
that.
by the
Just
way.
get out of here. It's the worst. He wanted to talk about Women's World
Yeah,
Cup,
and
and
I'm
look at how he
trying.
did it.
I'm trying to.
Poorly.
You'll tell me Alex Morgan's not on the team. It's a woman, by the way.
He
just-
genuinely still thinks that Hope Solo is the keeper.
He does.
He really does.
He still thinks he wanted to talk about that, and that was his contribution. It's unbelievable, man. All of which is an elaborate thing that we're doing to confuse him and disorient him as we head toward the end of the show. The show ends every day, Eastern, 12:54:32. It's been that way for years. He never remembers. He's 0 for 2 today on the Hard Network out.
Yeah, he's having one of his worst seasons ever. I mean,
He can't hear us right now, so this is the plan, okay? I'm just going to spin the wheel, his wheel of issues, until inevitably it lands on his minor. Sorry, I'm talking too loud. I'm sorry. On his minor league day.
oh, yes.
On his minor league day in Fort Myers.
Something about him.
Something about himself, so he will get in there. He has been unspeakably awful today. His son has never seen Field of Dreams, which was shocking to us. But he is worse off the air than he is on the air somehow, because honest to God, this happened, Mike, and it strikes me as blasphemous. First of all, he ripped Kevin Costner's catalog of movies, and then he apologized and said he was thinking of Nicolas Cage.
Even more.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I started to rattle Costner movie after Costner movie off the
Stugotz buried him with like 10 Costner movies, and he's like, oh, yeah.
He led with Waterworld, right?
Of course.
Naturally.
But then he said, who confuses? Does anyone confuse Nicolas Cage and Kevin Costner? He is descended into full-blown delirium.
I mean, he just said Hope Solo's still the goalie.
I mean,
you can't rule anything out.
She had an infamous falling out. She just ripped the
No,
manager.
Chris, it wasn't just that he said Hope Solo's the goalie. Then he leered at her.
That was the part that we could have certainly done without.
Yes.
We could have done without all of it.
I mean, the Hope Solo stuff is
mechanism.
right. Is Greg being Greg, but Mike is right.
Mike, he asked to go to that topic. That's him giving you the good stuff.
Then he does that Greg Cote move, which he did at the Gramercy show, where he looks at you like, what? What are you talking about? What did I do?
Look it up.
He asked to talk about that. He's got a whole list of Abraham Lincoln ghost stories on his computer. We had one of the most magical games in basketball this season, and furthermore, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final is right here, and he wants to give us bad information about confusing Kevin Costner and Nicolas Cage, and thinking Hope Solo is still the goalie of the U.S. women's soccer team.
Did you say Game 7 was right here? That's the allotted time for hockey talk. It's the best 2 words in sports, dude. Like, give me something, dude.
All right, surfer hockey guy far away from the mic.
Just give Jay Bomeister some credit, bro. Jay Bomeister.
Why is it that basketball is NBA Finals and hockey is Stanley Cup Final?
I don't like it at all.
It's like
The metric system.
Get
That's
over
what it
yourself,
is.
hockey.
Right, exactly.
Is someone going to tell Cody to come back in here? Because he'll sit out there the rest of the show.
Hold on. So at what time, at what point are you going to spin the wheel here? Let's just say, hold on
A couple
one
times.
second,
We'll
Chris.
spin it a couple times.
Okay, a couple times. Get 2 topics in, maybe?
Yeah. All right, go ahead and just spin the wheel now. We will see what topic it lands on here from among Greg Cote's. And I'm scared of this because one of his issues was Women's World Cup.
Well, let's not have it land on that if possible.
So,
if possible.
All right, so let's go ahead and spin the wheel as we wait for Greg Cote of the Miami Herald to come in here. He's just doing so at a leisurely pace because and there it is. It lands on Women's World Cup. There we go. Women's World Cup. So go ahead and get out the rest of your terrible thoughts on this subject.
Right. Well, no. I mean, that's one of the topics you wanted to talk about. I mean, I hope you had more than Hope Solo.
Is that all you had?
No. I love the Women's World Cup team because it's actually successful when juxtaposed against the men's team. The men's team has never won a World Cup, as everyone knows, and they haven't really had a successful World Cup since like 1930, the first one. The women, you could argue that other than USA men's basketball, the Women's World Cup, I mean, they're going for a 4th World Cup title, which is great. I really admire the women's team. They're outspoken. They're colorful. They take a stand for gender equality, for equal pay. They're more than just great on the field. They do something off the field, and I think they're America's team. I think the world of them.
Spin it again there for us so that we can. Why couldn't you have just said that the first time?
I wanted to annoy you.
Honest to God,
You
man.
did a good job of
You're
it.
So
Thank you.
terrible. All right, so what did it land on there? Oh, hey. Hard to believe, but it's now less than 7 weeks till Greg Cote
Yeah,
Day
how about
in
that?
Fort Myers.
You deserve a day, and I'm so happy about this. Like, what's going to happen during this day? Give us the events. What's happening?
It's going to be a big time.
This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
We live in a racist country,